Let's switch from talking about DJI to talking about SharkBite. Well, sort of. This is the new RunCam Split HD. We don't know anything about it except that it's been teased by RunCam.
Yeah. This is DJI, just to be clear, not SharkBite.
I'm sorry, Blunty.
No problem.
You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. That's the next one, the HDZero Cams. I apologize. Is that better or worse than the time when I called the Kiss Ultra the Kiss Ultimate? Probably worse. Let's try this again. The RunCam Split HD is a DVR unit for the Caddx Vista, or the Air Unit Lite. What do we know about this, Blunty?
All right. So basically not much. What you see is what you get. But as far as we know, they're implying that this is a DVR unit for the Vista. So essentially that you would have the RunCam Split camera, or the RunCam camera going into that DVR, and either the camera split from the cable, or it's just like a pass-through where it's split on the board, and then it would come back out and then come into the Vista.
It's really unclear, actually. I'm looking at this now, Blunty. Is this the MIPI connector here on the front? Is this the MIPI connector? They've got the cable going around to this side. I'm not going to pull a Vista out to double check, but that looks like a MIPI connector to me. Have they just like mocked this up in really in a really confusing way?
It sort of looks like a mock-up to me, but I'm not 100% sure. Unfortunately, that's like all they've put out about it, and then they haven't really replied to any comments. I did ask their support when we would see it, and they did tell me next month, but that is a big time frame. But they said sometime next month we'll know more information about it.
2 weeks. The big question that I think people are asking is, how's the latency? If it's doing pass-through, is it going to add latency?
Yeah, so hopefully they're splitting it and there's no extra latency, and it's just going to that board and then also going up to the Vista. And that would typically mean maybe they could do it the other way. Maybe they catch it after, split it out of the Vista somehow.
Well, it's a series versus parallel question. If they put the DVR in series of the signal, then they'll add latency. If they put it in sort of in parallel, then they can record without affecting the latency.
Right. Yes, exactly. So I guess we have to kind of wait and see how it lays out. But one of the things people were talking about, Mads Tech brought this up, thought it was a good point, is if they are doing a pass-through, or if they've considered a pass-through solution, or maybe they haven't, but maybe now it's time to think about it. What if we could trade 5 milliseconds of latency for adding in OSD? So right now we can't get DJI to give us a canvas mode, a real OSD solution. What if there's just a nice canvas mode OSD chip on a board, and then you pass through MIPI through there, slap the OSD on it, then send it right on up to the Vista?
Well, I'm trying to think what would be involved in that, because I know how analog OSDs work. More or less, they manipulate the Luma component of the signal to make certain pixels white. And they can essentially do that in real time with basically no delay. But a digital signal like this, it feels like they would need to decode the whole signal, reconstruct it into an image, then modify the image to include the OSD and re-encode it. And I don't see any way they could do that. I mean, I'm not a technical expert. It seems to me like they would have to add a significant amount of latency to do that.
Yeah. Something to consider, though. Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure if that's possible, but something to consider.
Probably depends a lot on the type of encoding that DJI is using internally. Like some types of encoding, you could manipulate the image without re-encoding it, and others you couldn't.
Yep.
So if it's H.264, I think you would just have to decode and re-encode it.
Also, the other thing to say is this is likely, we don't know for sure, but since they're not pushing it, it's likely not a low latency camera, so it's likely 60 FPS. And then the thing we don't know is it going to record at 720 or 1080? It's very possible this will just be 720/60, which is...
Well, the image is 720, so who cares? Oh, no, because the DJI Air unit records at 720. Or 1080. 1080.
Yeah.
That's true. So the camera is putting out 1080, they're only transmitting 720.
Yeah,
Ryan Quellett. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Ryan Quellett points out that pass-through MIPI doesn't necessarily add latency. Absolutely, Ryan. It just depends on what they're doing with the signal. If they, it depends on what they're doing with the signal internally. There are ways to do it where it doesn't add latency. significantly.
Mouse FPV actually gives a good point there. Maybe there's some way, if RunCam is making the camera, to put the info in like at the sensor step before you encode it.
That's really smart because the DVR is getting the signal straight from the camera. Yes, of course.
If the DVR gets before you encode it into MIPI, like before you put it out on those pins. Maybe you could do it like that. That'd be pretty cool.
That completely. Now I'm sold. That's completely plausible. RunCam has designed the camera. The signal comes out of the camera. It's some kind of a raw, unencoded format. It goes into the DVR, and the DVR is like, hey, I mean, let's just put an OSD on here. But of course, now RunCam has to implement canvas mode.
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
And hopefully somebody finds that solution, because maybe we do have another way.
Yeah.
So.
Very interesting.
If Mouse FPV, if you don't think we're armchair designers, then I don't know what show you're watching.
We're definitely armchair designers. We're barely in armchairs. All right. Well, now let's talk about SharkBite. I was so excited to get to it. I claimed that RunCam was, to be fair, until recently, there haven't been any RunCam DJI cameras, so you can't blame me for being confused. But the sale of the RunCam HDZero cameras has completed.
Yes.
And the first 2 days, they sold out in minutes. How did that proceed throughout the week?
So all the U.S. time zone releases, all the noon releases that happens, continue to sell out in under 3 minutes for all the 200 camera releases. And they also did some 6 a.m. releases as compared to noon EDT. They did some 6 a.m.s for the Australians, and those all sold out in about 15 minutes.
So Australians are slower than Americans.
Yeah, basically people didn't want to wake up or woke up a little late. But basically, I mean, every camera that was released sold out in 15 minutes or less, and most sold out in about 3 minutes. So there's still quite a bit of demand there. I think we talked about before, like, hey, normally these batches are like 20,000 or something, and they sold, it looks like around 1,200 or so, 1,000 to 1,200. However, I still think this is a wonderful sign because they were able to push through those units like the whole time.
Yeah. So the question is, will RunCam now pony up and do a run of 10 or 20,000 so people can actually get them? And if not, is Carl going to take the money that hopefully he made money on this? Because he wasn't selling them at cost. God, if he was, he's a saint. But hopefully he has some cash in his pocket. Will he do another run? We don't know the answer. Yeah. Ryan Quella.
I do believe I saw that there is another run coming. And then I know he teased a nano camera. But I don't know when that's coming or anything.
Risky. Well, why did you need a nano camera? Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess some people like a nano camera. I see License to Drive talking to Esk Race about a drone news piece that we should report on. If only there was an email address you could send pieces to that you think we should report on. I got to get you CC'd on this, Blinty. I don't know why I'm not automatic. I manually forward these to you every week. I should just be CCing you. We'll figure that out. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see more HDZero cameras from RunCam and anybody else too.